welcome to MoonLit's Crypt, where I tell paranormal stories. Hey friends, welcome to the first episode of MoonLit's Crypt. Today, so that you won't have to be guessing and everything, I'm gonna tell you 3 true stories from my own experiences. So these are 3 stories that are 100% true and happened to me. So I would know, okay? Okay, so the first story, y'all. So the first story I'm gonna tell you about is a story about the shadow man, and he did have on a hat. Now I have managed to get some footage. Now you're gonna see it later, okay? And it's gonna be the shadow man. All right, picture this. It's nighttime, you're in bed asleep, and you know it's nighttime, but it's probably around 2 a.m. or something. I'm really not sure what time it was because I didn't have any alarm clock by my bed, and I didn't look at my phone or anything to see the time that this was occurring. But it was late middle of the night, early morning, 2 a.m. when these things tend to happen. I don't want to say that, but because it can happen anytime, but it was at 2 a.m. when this story is taking place, okay? So, have you ever been laying in bed and you feel like something watching you? A lot of people can't feel when something's watching them, or I don't know, can y'all feel when something's watching you? Because who can't? Some people can't though, because I've stared at people for a long time and they never looked or turned around, but maybe they were like, this creepy ass lady. I don't know. Anyway, some people don't notice when someone's staring at them. So I'm laying in bed and nothing is staring at me, but I just feel something. So I wake up naturally. When I wake up, I look over. Let me see. I look over straight ahead, actually, because I'm laying on my left side. My husband is in front of me. He's asleep. He's sleeping on his back because he's sleeping like this, whatever. And I see the shadow man looking at him kind of menacingly. I'll roll the clip. So you see how the shadow man was looking at him. Now this is the footage that I told you about. It's the reenactment, but it's very accurate. Okay, so the shadow man is standing over him menacingly, kind of looming, and doing something with his hands. I don't know, it was really strange, but it was just a tall, shadowy figure, but it looked like it was kind of hunching over, and it had the hat on. And I remember because this is the first time I seen the hat, and I remember because I can't forget. And it's taken me a few years to tell this story. I waited till we moved from that location. We don't live there anymore. It scared the fuck out of me. Okay? So he's glooming over him a little, and then he looks at me. What you want to look at me for? So he look over at me. I'm trying not to look at him looking at me. I see it looking at me, and I don't want to look at me. So I see it looking at me, and I'm just laying there, kind of terrified. And then my husband, he started to move around a little bit, and so the shadow man, he's standing up tall because he was leaning over like this. So he stands up tall, and he started to walk, and I don't know if this thing was gliding, floating, or what, but he just starting to get the fuck out the way. He going to the door. Now, I don't know if the door must already been cracked, because we did used to sleep with the door cracked a little bit. So the door must already been cracked, because I know he couldn't open the door, right? But I don't know. But this he left out the door. But it's the way he looked back at me that was because he was looking at me what you gonna do? What you gonna do? So I was shook. And then my husband got up. He went to the bathroom. And I was like, babe, it was something just leaning over you. And he was like, yeah. This man went back to sleep. I didn't go back to sleep. I turned the TV on and I stayed up for the rest of the night because, baby, I could not get back to sleep. But he didn't care. Now, he did say that he did see something, but I don't know. It's like he didn't care enough for me. And this has been several years ago, so I guess it wasn't like a Grim Reaper or anything. Like I said, it was just that shadowy man with that damn hat on. And like, I'm getting a little bit shook talking about it right now because if he show back up over here, baby, I'm pop, pop. I don't know if that'll do anything, but he don't come back around me. Okay, let's get into story number 2. Okay, so story number 2. Now, let me know in the comments if you can relate to this story or if you can relate to the first story too. Now, this story is about that hag that y'all said y'all was seeing on y'all's chest. No, I didn't believe y'all when y'all was saying that. I was like, they fucking lying. I was like, they lying. That never happened. Like all these people just making that shit up. Whatever. I ain't believe it. And, you know, it was a lie until it wasn't, because it happened to me. And I hate to say that. Like, I don't want to be one of those people who don't believe things can happen until it happened to them, because am I a loser? Because that seems like a loser way to think. Anyway, I ain't believe it till it happened to me. Okay, so I'm laying in bed, sleep like I do. Now, I was asleep on my back. I usually never sleep on my back because of sleep paralysis. Like, every time I've ever gotten sleep paralysis, I was sleeping on my back. So I try never to sleep on my back unless I want to have a weird night. So I got caught slipping. I was sleeping on my back. And I just remember, let me know in the comments, anyone who's ever had sleep paralysis, you know what it's like. You're trying to move and you can't, and that's what was happening. And as I found a trick that helps me get out of sleep paralysis every single time, and it's wiggling like a toe. If I can wiggle my pinky toe or something, I know that I can get up. But it didn't happen this time. This time, I opened my eyes to see a horrible beast sitting on my chest, and I wouldn't say it was a lady, and like she was just ugly as fuck. Like, I don't know, like everybody's appearance or opinion of people's appearance is subjective to that person, but this lady, she I don't know, it looked like a classic witch. I don't know, like in the horror movie, Hansel, Gretel, whatever, with the things on her nose and I don't know. The only thing I can describe it as is it like an old hag. And I feel bad saying this because, like I said, I didn't believe it, but that bitch took me for a ride that night. Y'all. And I felt like I was like screaming, like trying to fight this bitch off me. I could not move. I couldn't get up. And then she started laughing at me, y'all. She was laughing. And I was just so scared. Like, I didn't know what would happen. And I didn't go back to sleep that night either. And when she finally left, it's just like she disappeared into nothing. And so I'm left thinking, like, am I still asleep? Am I tripping? Did I make this shit up? I asked my husband. He said, hey. Y'all, that man do not like to be bothered, but he get up at 4 a.m. and bother me. But anyway, I didn't know what to make of it, but I know it's not much of a story. I don't have a lot of details. She took me through I ain't appreciate it. Like, I was up all night, like, because it felt like she was sitting on me for a long time. But it couldn't have been too long, but it felt like forever. Okay, let's get into story number 3. Story number 3 takes us to Alabama. Okay, so we were traveling to Arizona a couple years ago, and we were coming from North Carolina, so we had to drive. Well, we chose to drive down through Georgia, through Alabama, whatever. So the first night, we made it to Alabama. So the first night we left, we drove through Georgia. We got to Alabama and we said, okay, hold on. Oh yeah, we said, okay, we're gonna stay here. I had to think because we went to 2 hotels. So the first hotel we went to was like a Super 8, maybe. I think it was a Super 8. I don't know. You know, it's late. We're just traveling and we stop at the hotels off the highway. I didn't do a lot of research because I didn't know how far we would get as we traveled. So we just stopped where we stopped. We didn't have like a destination in mind because, anyway, don't worry about all my business. Okay. We get to the first hotel and we have our dog with us and he's like, well, we can't have pets in this hotel. I said, okay, this hotel smells like a pet, but I don't want to stay here anyway. Fine. It's like, fine. So we get to another hotel, the Motel 6. The Motel 6, you know, they'll leave a light on for you, and or is that the Super 8? It don't matter. The Motel 6, they'll accept your pet. So we got to the Motel 6. It was late. I want to say it was after midnight for sure. And we check in. So the first kind of red flag was when I went in to check in. Like, you know, usually they want to see your ID and stuff like that at a hotel. This lady didn't want to see my ID or nothing. Matter of fact, she didn't even want no credit card. She said I could pay cash. I say, okay, cool. I paid her in cash. So she didn't want to know how many occupants or anything. I mean, I get it. It's the Motel 6. Who cares? Okay. And I'm going to see if I can insert some pictures from this place too. So we get in the room. It's myself, my husband, and our 2 children who were like teenagers at this point because they're still teenagers, and it was just a few years ago. They were young teenagers though. So like my 16-year-old is 16 now, so maybe he was like 12, 13, 12, 11. But y'all, I don't know. Anyway, we get into the room, and the room seems nice. But as soon as we walk in, the damn headboard fell down. And I was like, how in the hell did the headboard just fall down as soon as we walked in the room? Like, hello. So that was like a red flag. So I told the lady at the front, and she's like, okay, well, do you still want this room or do you want to move to another room? And I was like, we can stay in this room. It's fine. Why the hell would I say that? I said, we can stay in this room. It's fine as long as we're not going to be charged for this headboard. And then, like, thinking back, how are we going to be charged when they don't even have my credit card? Because I paid cash with no ID. Like, they... Anyway, so we made the strange decision to stay in the room where the headboard fell down as soon as we walked in. I don't know. Okay, so everything's fine. You know, it's late. We really just want to get some sleep so we can get back on the road in the morning. Gotta get to Arizona. Okay? So y'all, we have fun. We took pictures. I'll see if I can post some of the pictures up. We took some pictures in the room, you know, kiki. We watched a little TV. We went to sleep. So the kids over there in that bed, the sons, mom and dad, we're over here in this bed. Dad actually is, and this is another weird thing that we did too. So we gave the boys the bed where the headboard had fell down. And that bed was closer by the bathroom because, you know, sometimes they might go to the bathroom at night, whatever. And it was also closer by the door, which usually me and my husband sleep in the bed that's closer by the door because... and then the kids would sleep over by the window, but we didn't do that. And usually when we sleep in the bed, if we're sleeping, like, my husband will sleep at the part that's closer to the door and I'll sleep on the far end. We didn't do that either. Like, we did everything different. So the kids are on the bed by the door and mom and dad are on the other bed, which is a little further away from the door, and dad is sleeping by the wall. Mom is sleeping right here. I'm sleeping on the other bed beside dad, but he's closer to the wall. I'm in the middle, like where the nightstand is, and then it's the boys, and they're in the bed, and then it's the bathroom, and then the door. Okay? Did we get that? Anyway, none of that matters. It matters a little bit because the placements of where we were sleeping was off. It's not our usual sleeping placements when we go to a hotel. So I think that does matter. Yeah, it matters. Anyway, I'm getting scared telling this story because I'm in my room and it's dark. Well, I turned on this purple light so to add a little mystery. Okay, anyway, we're in bed, sleep. Of course, in true moonlit fashion, I wake up, but in a weird way. Now, I'm really getting scared. I felt something, like, and I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt a strange feeling inside my body, and I started fucking screaming. Like, I'm screaming like loud, like I'm screaming loud. Like I'm screaming. I am screaming. I thought I was screaming. My husband said that I was not screaming. He said that I was doing this. Let me show y'all. Let's see. Okay, he said that I was like in the bed, and he said I was in bed like this, and I was looking at him like this, just staring at him like this, like laying down, but like this. And he said I was just staring at him. And he said that then I started laughing. But the whole time, what I felt that I was doing was screaming. Like I literally felt like I was laying on my back, screaming. But he said that I was like this, smiling at him the whole time. And then he started to shake me, and he was pushing me. And then I woke up, and I was like, babe, what happened? And he was like, you tell me what happened. You the one been sitting up staring at me. And I was like, no. Like, I have not been staring at you. Like, I was laying in here screaming at the top of my lungs for help, and no one was helping me. And he was like, no, that's not what was happening. So, y'all, I don't know what the fuck was going on then, but your girl got up. I turned the light on, and I set up for the rest of the night. And as soon as my husband went back to sleep. He always be going back to sleep, y'all. Is this a red flag? Let me know in the comments. Cause why he be going back to sleep when I am in distress? Anyway, he went back to sleep. I stayed up for the whole night, and it was creepy as hell in there. Then in the morning, when we were leaving, we were checking out. So, you know, we gathered all that shit. We running out of there, like, booking it. My husband was too, because although he didn't experience what he experienced this, but he said that it was, you know, a creepy situation too. And the kids, they was asleep, but I think they said they felt a little something. I ain't gonna bring them into this right now, but yeah, we got the fuck out of there. And as we were gathering all of our stuff, you know, we see the housekeeper in the hall, and she's like she acting like she seen a ghost when she saw us leaving out of that particular room. And then when I was checking out, they told me wasn't nobody staying in that room that we was staying in. No, it's like, what the fuck? What do you mean nobody was staying in that room? We was just staying in that room. They said didn't nobody check us in the room. And you know, maybe it was because I paid cash and I didn't use an ID or nothing. Like I said, the lady just was like, hey, you want to stay in the room? Hey, I got a room for you, baby girl. But it was just weird. We got the fuck out of Alabama so quick, child. I ain't sleep till we got to Texas, which is close by Alabama, but whatever. Texas, I got a story about that because it was weird too.